A reading from the book of Lucius, Chapter 7, The Forest Mission, Part 2. From the sphere above, a spirit force descended, penetrating into the sphere of matter and mortality, and this is called nature. Using the laws of cause and effect, necessity, and the conservation of life, nature cherished and nurtured the descending life force, and with earthly moulds modelled it to spiritual patterns. Life comes from the Supreme Spirit and reaches the sphere of matter and mortality through the sphere above, and nature works with clay. Man is the receptacle of life in both parts of his twofold being, though he should learn to concentrate it in his higher self. The life force becomes strong in the spiritual man, but is weak in the worldly man, just as it is strong in the eagle and weak in the grub. There are forces in nature beyond the knowledge of man, but whatever they are, man must harmonize himself with them. It is unwise to contend with the unknown or challenge powers incapable of assessment. To live harmoniously, man must revere all forms of life and treat his fellow men with consideration and courtesy. All that is beautiful and beneficial is to be preserved, and man must never tire of adding to these. Nothing having life, beauty, or uniqueness must be wantonly destroyed, unless it is known to be harmful. Thought is mind, working through matter, and feeling is life, manifesting in matter. Thought and feeling are not separable in man, for feeling unrecorded and unconditioned by thought would serve no higher purpose than a mortal one, and man is more than that. Therefore, all feeling has to be conveyed to something that experiences and reacts to it. Thought and feeling are not absent from the sphere of the Holy Spirit, and are even greatly intensified there. That is one reason why man has to learn to control them here, for earth is a place where he is schooled to handle great forces and powers now beyond conception. My friends, the things I wish to teach form so high a doctrine that it is difficult to convey them to the clouded minds of men. Some will never grasp the meaning and message, others will laugh them to scorn. Those who try to help man along the steep, upward road and who extend the hand of friendship are more often mocked than heeded. Man prefers to sleep on the soft bed of agnosia rather than be awakened to harsh reality. Those who disturb complacent slumbers are usually reviled. To think is to understand and believe, but to be unthinking and unbelieving is less disturbing, and follows the wide way of ease and apathy. All most men seek spiritually is to be left alone, undisturbed. Most things spoken here in the Hermitage are not for the uninitiated, and must not be recorded, for an infant cannot be entrusted with the firebrand. Initiation is a meaningful rite, the purpose of which is to awaken the sleeper and open his spiritual eyes. Little purpose is served by talking to a sleeping man, still less to a deaf man, and even less to one who has no desire to hear. So it is that men walk as though in a fog and see things hazily or with distortion. You, my friends, must go out among them and take their hands and be their guides. If they will not follow, they alone suffer, for if you do your best, you can do no more. Dealing with mind. This comes from the Supreme Spirit by way of the Holy Spirit, and is to the Supreme Spirit like sunlight is to the sun. It is often likened to light, though previously explained to men in this manner. Their sons, in their delusion, began to worship the sun, for man has always misunderstood the teachings, and sought to bring them down from a high to a lower level. Those who seek the truth about their nature are men becoming more than men. They tread the road to godhood. Those who close their minds to truth are actually closing the doors of the cage in which they remain as little more than animals. The apathetic man becomes deluded under the influence of his own ideas and imaginations. He readily accepts teachings requiring no thought or effort. If ever a teacher comes along who says, "Surrender your will and reason to me, and I will assure you of life everlasting," he will be unable to count his followers. Knowing the truth, you now realize the futility and foolishness of repeating thoughtlessly the feeble formula, "I am a helpless, miserable wrongdoer, bound by the misdeeds of my fathers. I am one naturally inclined towards evil and cannot save myself. Save me, have mercy, and forgive me, meek and miserable as I am." Those, my friends, are actual words spoken, and doubtless you will let them speak for themselves. Such an outlook is not only degrading, but it condemns man to disinheritance. It blinds him to his true nature, and binding him with knots of ignorance, hands him captive to enslavement in matter. Without doubt, it is difficult to understand the Supreme Spirit and His great plan, and all too easy to sneer and dismiss the disturbing thoughts and shun the effort. It is only after long and careful consideration has been given to the matter that a man comes to believe in spiritual things and his own immortality, and that is only the first step. Time has established that disbelief and lack of faith spring either from an inability to think deeply or from apathy. In either case, the mind falls prey to agnosia, and, being weakened by ignorance and prejudice, slides wearily down the precipice into hasty and false conclusions. True spiritual enlightenment cannot be found through the written words of man alone, or through reason and logic. But those are important signposts along the way. They point in the right direction, and the good books are reliable guides along the road. But there comes a point where, to find spiritual enlightenment, man has to commit himself to a spiritual vehicle and be conveyed beyond the bounds of matter. The ability of any man to attain spirituality and know the truth is limited only by his steadfastness in the search and fortitude in the struggle. Can any man think long on the wonder of creation and the complexity of created things, and declare truthfully that he believes they came into being of their own accord? Can he look at the awesome beauty of the spinning universe, now so old and yet so full of vitality, with never a sign of declining powers, and say there is no motivator behind it? Can he look at the life-giving light of day, and the growth-controlling light of the night, and the teeming earth and burning stars, and honestly believe that all this is a matter of pure chance? Could all this vast and splendidly run universe have created itself? It could, if a tapestry can weave itself, or a statue chisel itself out from the rock. Everything throughout the whole of creation conforms to certain basic laws, and where there are laws, there must be a lawmaker. There is only one set of unchangeable laws, and so there can only be one lawmaker. Were it otherwise, there would have been a clash of laws, with resultant chaos and confusion, instead of order and stability. Men have often asked me concerning evil, and sought to lay traps with their questions. Evil is a kind of mildew, corrosion, or rust, which forms on the pure creative impulses of good when they penetrate the lower sphere of matter and mortality. These impulses can be purified from the adulterating evil through change and regeneration. Everything descending from the higher sphere finds itself contrasted or reflected here, for this is the quality of matter. This contrast or reflection may be so different as to appear to manifest as evil. Everything on earth is evolving either upwards or downwards, becoming more like the pure pattern which left the divine designer, or more grossly material and earthly. Evil does not come from above, and results only from existence in an elementary sphere of change and decay. Here on earth, change is fundamental, and like everything else, can be made to serve a good or a bad end. When a thing becomes too good, it is removed by change, and anything which becomes too bad is likewise removed. The unbounded wisdom of the Creator is beyond criticism, and only the ignorant and apathetic would criticize anyway. Unless there is direction and control, everything tends naturally towards chaos and confusion. Undirected change can lead to nothing except disorder. Therefore, wherever there is orderly movement, there must be direction, and where there is direction, there must be a director. No sensible person who thinks deeply enough could possibly conclude that the great universe and the whole of creation are undirected. Who then could the Creator and Director be but the Supreme Spirit?